I started to make dumplings by hand in college. It was my sophomore year, and I lucked out and was able to live in one of the campus apartments, which means I had my own kitchen. Thank God, because I really wanted to start cooking all of my meals instead of relying on the dining hall every day. Anyways, I made dumplings relatively often enough that my roommate took a photo of me and I was given the name Dumpling Queen. I usually made them in batches of about 200, enough to eat, enough to share, and plenty to freeze for later. I was a busy student athlete, and as much as I liked to cook, I definitely didn't have time to do so every day. My favorite recipe is this one: pork, shrimp, and chives. Start by washing the chives and finely chopping them along with the green onions and minced ginger. Then peel and devein the shrimp and roughly chop. Since the pork is already ground up, chopping up the other proteins by hand helps give the filling some more texture. So technically, you don't have to take the gut out since we are cooking the shrimp fully, but I refuse to touch shrimp that hasn't had the backside opened and cleaned out. The little string that comes out is the gut, so yes, that means poop, and I am not eating shrimp poop. Season your filling and then mix it well. I unfortunately don't have any measurements. I just kind of eyeball it and hope that it tastes good. It's best to make a few test dumplings first and then adjust the flavor accordingly. Our friends came over a bit later and they were able to be my taste testers.
Apparently halloumi's from Cyprus.
No. Island country in the Mediterranean.
Making the dumpling skin is actually the easiest part. It's literally just all-purpose flour and water. Measure out your flour, then slowly add in the warm water until it's all mixed up. Knead it by hand, then let it rest for about 15-20 minutes covered so it becomes softer and easier to work with. Then you want to knead it again, let it rest for another 30 to 60 minutes. I was in a bit of a rush, so I skipped the second part of kneading it again.
Yeah, vital. Is that the one in Greenpoint? Don't they also have the TikTok, I'm like, I don't know.
Then you want to section the dough, roll out small sections into logs, and cut them into equal-sized pieces. I'll put a little reference below for a set amount of dough instead of saying like cut this into 16 different sections. But after you do that, cut each log into equal-sized pieces, flatten them into discs, and roll them out with a rolling pin. Then put some filling in the center of each wrapper and pinch away at the edges to seal it tightly.
Half and half now, so you pay like each way.
Yeah, because a lot of cooking people.
Dang.
This little Lotus live in San Diego?
Yep.
Does.
They
It
bought
was
a San Islander.
like 5 minutes away from your mom.
Take a ferry there, be in a good mood.
Yeah, that was so
There are a few ways to fold dumplings. The easy or simple way is to first fold the wrapper in half, pinching the two edges together at the middle. Then take the two free corners and also pinch those into the middle center point so it looks kind of like a closed fortune teller origami paper. Then with those two free edges, fold them inwards towards each other and pinch those outside corners into the center point, creating a nice fold line. Am I explaining that well? The other easier way is to just fold the dumpling wrapper in half, kind of line up the edges and pinch them together in a staggered motion so it's not completely flat. There's nothing wrong with a completely flat dumpling wrapper edge. I just prefer my dumplings to have either more structured shape or a rough structure. Another important thing to note is if you're putting the dumplings on a tray to freeze for later, make sure you dust the tray with plenty of flour so that the dumplings don't stick to the tray itself.
I fell.
Yeah. Last time was our extras.
it's so like handy though.
When I'm like kneading the dough and then.
I had quite a bit of extra dough, and when this happens, I usually opt to make scallion pancakes, one of my favorites. It's super easy, and it really doesn't take anything extra. You probably already have all the ingredients. I used to drizzle the oil directly onto the rolled out dough, but it always gets so messy. This time I created a paste from another recipe I found with the salt and 5-spice powder to spread on the dough, and oh my god, I will continue to use this method forever. It is so much easier and also so much cleaner. You want it to be pretty thin, that way when you roll it up it has more layers. And actually when you roll it up into a spiral, it kind of looks like a burek, like a spanakopita, just much thicker. But after you finish rolling them into spirals, you want to let it rest for a bit before rolling them out flat. Also to let the gluten relax, it makes it easier to work with. And then you want to fry them all up and make them nice and crispy. And And then for the rest of the dinner, I just typically will blanch some leafy greens with a little bit of chicken bouillon, chicken stock, and then drizzle some sesame oil on top. Just very simple, very light. And yeah, that's pretty much all I do. When you're frying the scallion pancakes, you want to make sure each side is very golden brown. Make sure there's enough oil on the pan as well to coat the entire surface of the pancake. Probably need about 3 to 4 minutes on each side depending on the heat of your stove in the pan. And for the dumplings, once the water is boiling, put your dumplings in there and stir them around so they don't stick to the bottom of the pot or whatever you're using. And once they're floating, boil for another 5 to 7 minutes and then they'll be ready to eat. I hope you all enjoyed watching me make one of my all-time staples, and let me know if you'd like to see more of these types of videos down below. See you next time.